I set up an event last time through Google Plus.
Okay.
And this time I set up a quick event through YouTube because the setting up of an event through Google Plus no longer exists.
I just got a notification from YouTube.
And that
watch live now.
must be the new way of doing it. I don't know how to do the lower third then. I'd have to do some research on that, okay?
It's so cool that this thing does this. Hold on.
This thing does what?
All right. So look, a text message comes through.
Yeah.
See how it just says message under the subject of the thing?
And that's what it looks like after you look at it?
Yeah. After I look at it, it reveals
the actual message.
Yeah. It's weird because the 10 sold out in a lot of places, but there's some places in Columbus that still have them in stock.
Where'd you go to get yours?
I ordered mine from Verizon.com, but
pre-ordered it then.
Yeah, I pre-ordered it. I was up at 3 a.m. to pre-order it, and I was up on Apple on the Apple Store app on my actual iPhone 7 Plus, and it crashed. It wouldn't work. And I tried for like 30 minutes. So I was up at 3 a.m. for like 30 minutes, like getting frustrated. And then finally I was like, let me just check Verizon. I checked Verizon. I literally checked out in like 2 minutes. And I got today as a ship date. Right. Meanwhile, Apple and AT&T and other stores and other places were already back to like December 1st.
So like do you think anybody was standing in line this year?
Oh yeah, not here in Columbus. I don't think. No, not here.
No.
Not okay. Here. But
so Verizon had it on time to you when it was available at the time of release. That's good.
Yeah.
So you've had exactly 6 hours with it then?
No, I got it when I got off work. So really 3.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's it does not feel like an iPhone, but it feels like an iPhone.
Explain yourself.
I'm so used to the tall phone that I forgot what it felt like to. I've gone to the Plus phone since the 6 Plus came out. 6 Plus, 6S Plus, 7 Plus. So now I'm going back down to a smaller phone with a bigger screen. So my thumb still doesn't necessarily reach all the way to the top, but it's more manageable in the hand. It's a really good size. So it feels like an iPhone, but it's something about the curves and just the way the OS feels. It reminds me of like the iPhone 3G, 3GS, and even the first iPhone. Like this phone, if you look at the design of it, hold on, let me take off the case. For this to be the 10th phone and be like the 10th anniversary phone, they really brought like everything that we loved about every iPhone into one device. So they got the glass back, obviously for wireless charging, but at the same time, it's almost like the iPhone 4, 4S, like that. Then you got the stainless steel side, which is like a combination of the Apple Watch design. At the same time, it's also kind of like the iPhone 5 with the iPhone 5s. Then it has the round design all the way around, which is pretty much the iPhone 6, 6S, 7.
Yep.
And then the height of it feels a lot like, and because of its round, it feels a lot like the iPhone, the first iPhone, I guess you call it the 2G. And then the iPhone 3GS and all that stuff had a pure white back. So it's like it kind of brings it all together in a real neat package.
Did you have the 2G or 3GS?
My first iPhone was the 3G. I didn't have the 2G.
Back before I owned any smartphones, I knew the iPhone 3G existed, and I thought that stood for radio frequency.
Yes, yes, it did.
So they named it for the fact that that was a new frequency, and this is their new iPhone, and it works on the newest.
And it just so happened it was also
the third gen.
Well, no, it was the second gen because the first one was just the iPhone, right? And then you had the iPhone 3G, right? And that was when 3G was getting popular, like the regular technology. So it kind of worked because it was a 3G, and then what it is the 3GS. So they just kind of like.
Was there an iPhone 2?
No.
Okay, that's where I mixed up.
So people call the iPhone, the first iPhone, they call that the 2G because that was essentially back when we had 2G internet.
Slow as crap internet.
Yeah, that was like that. That was like that 10 kilobit.
Okay. Learned something new today.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess I didn't, because I kind of thought that was it, but then I thought I was wrong. Well, but now you're telling me I was actually right, just not in the exact right path.
Yeah, because people, I don't know if you remember this, people were mad that Apple didn't call it the 4G when it came out.
I didn't know that.
If you think about it, they came out with the 4, and that really was that was the fourth phone.
Yeah.
So when they came out with the 4, it came out around the time that 4G was getting popular, but it wasn't like not that popular. Like it was just like I think no phones had it. I think the first LTE iPhone was like the iPhone 5. So I want to say the LTE iPhone. It had to be the iPhone 5.
Then that makes it wasn't the 4 or 4S because we still had those in stock at work, and they didn't run on 3. They were 3G still. They weren't LTE.
Yeah, LTE I think was a 5. I think 4G was on 4 or something like that. But and the thing about it is, I remember branding wise, like AT&T was the only company allowed to call it 4G, if I remember correctly.
Who?
I think it was either Verizon or AT&T were the only company.
It had to be AT&T because Verizon didn't get the iPhone until.
Yeah, because I remember somebody came out with 4G.
Maybe
and that
5.
was
Yeah.
You remember all that, right? When like all the carriers were claiming they had 4G, and it was not some carriers weren't quite 4G, but they were on 4G band, so they could still technically say they were 4G.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a mess. It's crazy how far the
if I'm not mistaken, wasn't the Droid X the first LTE?
I want to say, yeah.
And that's the one I got. That was the first smartphone I had.
I don't know.
But that was a point in time where we didn't have 4G in Columbus.
No, the first LTE phone on Verizon was the Thunderbolt. Oh, man.
That's right. I forgot about that piece of crap.
Oh, my gosh. That phone was just...
HTC Thunderbolt.
I used to hack. I used to root. I used to boot my own boot logos. I used to do all that stuff.
But in Columbus, we didn't have 4G signal.
Yep, I remember going to Atlanta. It was in September or something around Dragon Con, and I remember riding around downtown Atlanta, and I remember it raining, and I remember just pulling up and doing a speed test, and I remember getting like 28 megabits or something, and I was like, oh my gosh.
And you were the bomb then.
I was like, oh, this is so fast.
When it finally came to Columbus, I first noticed it on the Droid X when I happened to be in my car going between 2 different places. And I want to say you should feel special because once I realized it was you who I called to say, hey, check your phone because I got 4G.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. So I didn't even know you were pre-ordering the iPhone at 10X. Which one are you? Are you on the 10 side or the X side?
I say 10. But every now and then, I say X gonna give it to you, and I send it to my friend, send pictures of my phone to my friends.
All right.
But I say 10 only because it's the 10th one, and it's kind of cool.
I say X because I'm a rebel, and it looks like an X, not a 10. Did you even notice that they didn't even put an X or a 10 or that logo on the box at all?
Well, they haven't done that in a while. I want to say the 8 and the 7 just said iPhone.
Really? I didn't realize that because the 6S's definitely have it on there.
Hold on. Well, no. It definitely just says iPhone. I know the 7 box says that.
Okay. Okay.
My wife
I
said
didn't realize that.
8 boxes in the other room, but yeah.
Well, I only really see iPhone in the box when we get them in at work. And
Speaking of
it wasn't until recently that we got a 7 like we just started buying the 7 since the 8 was announced. Because that's how we do it at work. We say you're a generation behind because Verizon gives us a major discount on previous year's phones.
oh yeah, I imagine.
So our standard is the last year's phone. We buy 8s and we bought a 10 for some executives and for testing the email on the iOS version and the hardware before we roll it out majorly. But we're not going to actually make the 8 a standard until next year. It's going to be that way.
Gotcha. That makes sense. That makes sense.
But I did get to touch an iPhone 10 and look at it and play with it today because we got one in for testing. So unfortunately, I didn't get to turn it on and set it up because, well, it wasn't under my account. I didn't have a reason to put my account on there. But I'm really curious to know how you feel in a couple of days of using the buttonless iPhone.
I will say this.
Or should I say the homeless iPhone?
It's the homeless iPhone. So I will say this. So now you have a button called on the side called the side button. It's no longer called the power button or anything like that. It's called the side button. And then you have the volume up, volume down, and you have the silent switch. So using this phone is really weird and it's different. It's very different. I haven't really gotten used to it yet. I will say this. I completely forgot about the notch. Like,
yeah, I
saw reviews and I was just like, yeah, whatever. But I completely forgot about the notch. Like, I don't even look at it. I never really liked it only because it reminded me of this Run Droid Razor phone. I can't remember what it was. That it didn't have a notch per se, but it came down over the screen, and then the space to the right and the left of the notch was just like space. Like it was black, but it was kind of like there was some space in between like the glass and then like the surface of the black, like the surface of the phone. So like just a little bit of air. I can't remember what Razor phone. I mean, it was a Motorola phone. It was an Android phone. I want to say the Razor M, maybe. Yeah, I'll have to Google it.
That was like a mid-range phone then.
Let's see.
That was a smaller, like 4.5-inch screen. The Razor M was.
Yep.
Is that the one you're thinking of?
Yep. They had it. The whole thing was the earpiece, and it said Motorola through it, and then to the right of it was just space and then camera. So this one is a little bit different. I would say this one is not really exactly like the iPhone. It's more of just like a big earpiece cutout that is in the shape of the same notch that's on the iPhone. So it's not exactly the same thing, but it's still distracting from the design. That's what I'm getting at. Like when you look at the phone, it's very distracting. Like you just look at that first. And the notch was like that for me when I first saw it. But after you're using it, you really kind of appreciate the fact that they essentially put a Microsoft Connect at the top of an iPhone. Like the technology and the radar and the lasers and all that stuff up there.
Right.
Cameras and stuff. That's pretty impressive them to fit all that there. And so they could have put that up there or spreaded it out evenly and then had a nice even gap. Or to make usage of space on the phone and get a smaller form factor, they did it that way, and then they put the time and your signal on each side of it. So that way, in all the apps that are being designed stop at the flat point anyway. They don't go above that point. All you do is you set in the code. I was looking at it today because we're developing an app for work, and all you do is tell the app what color to display into the notch area.
Okay.
That's all you have to do.
So even in the future of development for the iPhone with that notch, you're not going to build above that bottom of the notch line?
You don't have to. There are some, like I should show you an example.
I was just thinking that apps now wouldn't fit it, obviously, but future development would mean that they would fit it.
All right, so you see how this goes all the way to the top and it's like purple and it blends in?
Yeah.
Essentially, you could say that's a part of the app. It is a part of the app. Like it's just
Are they just really masking it well to make it the same color as the background below that notch?
correct.
Okay.
So now let me show you what happened.
What about an app a third party app that you downloaded that has nothing to do
Yeah,
with?
that was a third party app.
Oh, what was that?
That was called Carrot. It's a weather app. Notability has been updated. A lot of apps I have. Okay, Signal. Okay, see that's what the old apps are going to look like.
Just black from a certain point forward up.
But you see how that gap between the top of the blue and then to the
the bottom of the numbers in the time.
Okay, that is it. Not that's it. Not being optimized for this phone for this resolution,
Mm-hmm.
but the developer also has the choice to still go up to the top and not fill in that part with blue.
I got you.
That blue part can go up higher to the bottom of it, and then it will just stop there. And then they have to add the extra code to say display blue right above the top of the app. And if and it's hard on some apps too, because if you have an app that kind of changes moods or changes colors and different screens, you have to code for that also, so that you don't go to one screen and it's green all the way to the top, and you go to another screen where it turns blue, and then it turns black in the background because you didn't tell the app to push blue up there also.
I got you.
So it can make, if you have a pretty complex app, it makes development a little harder.
Do you think that hold on, let me grab the Pixel 2 XL real quick. I got a question about that.
Okay.
All right. Do you think that they should go into that notch area, or just stop there like you're doing and fill in the rest of it with a color that matches and camouflages?
See, here's an example of what I was saying. See how they just go. This is an actual updated app. This is a real iPhone 10 optimized app, and they chose not to go above the notch.
Yeah, I can see it.
And but it's right at the top, like I told you before. Like, what if they did that?
So the notch is disappearing because of the black that they've chose to put at the top of their application.
Correct.
Okay. Since we're talking about things like that, I want to show you something real quick. The 2XL has the rounded corners, right?
Mm-hmm.
And was it the S8 has the rounded corners too, right? G6, it also has the rounded corners. Every one of them scooted the icons in a little bit to make up for the rounded corners so that the icons aren't cut off, right? All right. Okay, so let's see if I can get this to show up here for you. Hold on. All right. Can you see that? All right. That's the rounded corners I'm talking about. Okay. Do you see how the icons are in? Can you tell? Is it clear enough? Okay. Keep in mind, that's because of the rounded corners. This, I don't have as many applications open, but you can still see it. This is the Pixel 2. Not rounded corners, but they still indented the icons. You see that?
Yeah.
Do you think they did that in Oreo in general, overall, for all Oreo future phones?
Huh.
I mean, I thought at first it was a G6 S8 thing, and they just knew, hey, I'm cutting the corners off a little bit. I need to make room for the icons. But when I got this, that was actually one of the first things I noticed. On both sides, they're scooted in equivalent to the amount of space that it's scooted in on the Pixel 2 XL, which made me think Google is making this an Oreo change, and it's going to be on Oreo forward, whether you got the rounded corners or not.
That's very possible. I mean, that's the thing about Google and the Nexus or the Pixel program is it kind of sets the standard, while the other manufacturers are kind of out there really to just kind of push the boundaries.
Okay, so this means rounded corners are thought to possibly be the future. 1, 2, 18 by 9 is possibly going to be seen as the future. Do you know the resolution of the iPhone? I know they don't always give all the specs out for the iPhone, but do you,
It's all over the place. Like it's like something weird. I can look it up right now if you need me to, but
is it close to 16 by 9 or 18 by 9? Or because that's traditional. 16 by 9 is traditional. 18 by 9 is the new cool 2:1 ratio, right? This started with the G6. I just didn't know if you knew off the top of your head. Do you know while you're looking it up? Go ahead and look up all the rest of the specs for the iPhone 10. I'm curious.
I have it right here in front of me. So it's IP68, Super AMOLED screen, 16 million colors, 5.8 inches. Resolution is 1125 by 2436.
I can do that math real quick. You said 1125 by what?
2436.
That's a 2:1.
Hmm.
It's a little bit taller than 2:1. That's like 18 and a half by 1.
Huh.
It's actually 2.16. So it's bigger than 2.1. 2:1, I mean.
Wow.
1125. So that's definitely a 2. Wait. Is that the resolution you just read to me?
Yeah.
So is that 2K?
It's just short of 2K.
Yeah.
Like I guess you can call it 2K. I'm gonna go to Phone Arena. I love this site when I look up specs. Yep, 1125 by 2436. 459 PPI. That's crazy.
Okay. What about the RAM? Do you know the RAM?
I think the RAM is 4 gig. Oh, 3 gigs of RAM. 4 gigs of RAM. Sorry, 3 gigs of RAM, maximum 256 gigabytes of storage. The A11 Bionic chip, which is a 8-core, 64-bit. Then it has the M11 graphics processor. 27 milliamp, 2700 milliamp hour battery.
How much?
2700.
That's the same as in here. The Pixel 2.
Mm.
You know, Apple's always been really good with being able to squeeze some massive battery life out of a battery.
Yeah, that's just that optimization. That's why.
I don't know. I think
I wish other people would follow Apple in a little bit of like just the close type the collaboration between hardware and software would be a little bit more tighter with Android.
Do the iPhone settings tell you how much screen on time you get?
Yeah, but I wouldn't be able to tell you that too much right now.
No, the best time to do it isn't on the weekend. The best time to do it is after a day of work.
Yeah.
Like that's a regular typical day. So after Monday morning, you'll wake up after a full charge. You'll go to work. You'll use it all day long. I'm curious to know how good of a battery life you get on Monday after you've had all weekend to set it up, right?
Yeah, use it.
And use it on Monday like you typically would use any other phone. And let me know. Let's see. My very first time on the Pixel 2, I got some great battery life.
Oh yeah, I did too.
October 19th was the day I got it. So we're looking somewhere around the 20th. On the 20th, I got 5 hours screen on time before I hit 15%.
Wow.
But it only lasted for like 10 hours, but 5 hours of screen on time. After that, on the 21st, I got, it lasted over 14 hours, but only 2 hours of screen on time. But that was, and I still had 51% left. So that's what I mean by the 21st was a weekend. That's what I mean by using it on a regular work day. A weekend isn't a good variable to go by. Okay, here we go.
Right.
14 and
on the weekend. Go ahead.
For the first full weekday, on the Pixel 2, I got 4 hours screen on time with 14 and a half hours of usage when it hit 17%.
Okay.
So
that's not bad.
No, that's decent. That's really decent.
When I was using mine, I think I got to the end of the day like 61 or something like that, but I didn't use it that much.
I took that screenshot at 10:54 p.m. right before I went to bed.
Okay.
So 14 hours. That's a really good. That's pretty darn good. Now, unfortunately, it has gone down a little bit. Last screenshot I took was on the 20, let's see, that's the 28th, 27th, a week later. 2 weeks later, actually. No, a week later. And I got, when it hit 15%, I had used it for 12 hours and I got 4.5 hours of screen on time. So actually, that's relatively the same.
Yeah.
Relatively the same. I probably played a little bit more Pokemon Go that day than I did any other day. So I actually have decided, I think I told you once before, I bought this with intent of checking it out, seeing if it was going to be my next phone. Pixel is what I've been carrying for the past year, and I have decided, yes, I'm going to trade in my Pixel, get the $350 trade-in value to put towards this phone, and I'm going to keep it. It's a good one. I really like it.
Oh, the camera alone, man. I just that camera is.
I've taken some really cool portraits.
The phone in general is just really good. Did you have any issues with the hissing and any of the other stuff?
I did have some electrical noises, and I can hear them right now. I doubt you'll be able to hear them. You can't click. Don't click your keyboard. Listen closely. Maybe turn up your volume. Yeah, I doubt you can hear it though. It's so very faint. I can't hear it at all. Even when I have the phone up to my ear to take a telephone call, I have to put the back of the phone to my ear to even hear it. I don't have the clicking at all. Now, I did call Google. I told them I could hear the high-pitched electrical noises. They said, okay, I'll send you a replacement. They sent me a replacement. I took it out. I set it up. The first thing I did after I set it up, I rebooted it. The second thing I did was I started just an app that made the RAM go into play. And I put it up to my ear, and I instantly started hearing the clicking noises that they were talking about on the replacement phone. So I just sent it back. I said, that one's worse shape than this one is in. And the only thing I'm truly worried about with those noises is there a down the line problem, right? But they extended the warranty period to 2 years. So even if there is a problem down the line, something fails hardware-wise, not because I dropped it, but just internally, those noises could be something that causes it to fail a year from now. I've got a 2-year warranty. So I feel confident that it'll be okay. And if not, they should service me and give me a new phone of some type to replace it.
Yeah, they'll that's what they were doing for the people who were having issues with their 5Xs. They were giving them Pixels.
6Ps too. I heard they were doing it with 6Ps.
Yeah, not so much the 6Ps from what I heard, but I don't know. I know of one person that tried to get a replacement. He had a 5X, and they told him no, because it was like already old, and LG pretty much gave up on him. They stopped supporting it.
Paige did start having a power button issue. No. Her screen went out. wouldn't come back on, although it would make noises, like notifications would come through noises. Although the screen wouldn't come on when you press the power button. So LG did do a 1-year warranty repair, not replacement. It's the same phone. But when I got it back, Wi-Fi wouldn't work at all. Wouldn't stay turned on at all. So they did an immediate follow-up again to fix that. We get it back, and it's working just fine. So that was right at the 1-year mark when that happened. And they it was within like a week of the purchase date that I bought the phone. So anything now that happens with it, I'm afraid we're just gonna have to buy her a new phone.
Yeah. Unfortunate.
All right. So I'm actually glad that you had that iPhone 10. I didn't even know that. I didn't expect that, that we could talk about it. And even though I labeled this as a camera test, we might keep this up and running for that purpose alone if you want to.
Yeah, that's fine.
All right, cool. Well, it's 10 o'clock now. I need to go put my kiddos in bed. It's well past their bedtime.
Yep.
But I'm gonna run this back. Let me stop the broadcast. So if anybody does actually watch this, thanks for watching.